There is a version of you that your friends have never met, a version your family wouldn't recognize on the street, a version so different from who you are right now that if you walked into a room, people would do a double take and whisper, "Wait, is that really them?" And here's the part that should shake you awake tonight. That version of you isn't 10 years away. It isn't waiting for some perfect Monday, some new year, some magical moment when life finally slows down enough for you to get serious. That version of you is 7 days away, not 7 months, not 7 years, 7 days. I know how that sounds. I know somewhere in your mind a voice just whispered, "Impossible." That voice has been running your life for a long time, hasn't it? It's the same voice that talked you out of the gym last Tuesday. The same voice that told you tomorrow was a better day to start. The same voice that's kept you exactly where you are while quietly promising that someday, somehow, things will just change. But things don't change on their own. Rooms don't clean themselves. Bodies don't transform while you sleep. And identities, the deep, bone-level sense of who you are, don't shift because you wish hard enough. They shift because of decisions. Brutal, uncomfortable, non-negotiable decisions made in the space of a single week, a single day, sometimes a single hour. So let me ask you something, and I want you to actually sit with it instead of skimming past it the way you skim past everything else in your life. When was the last time you truly surprised yourself? Not a small win, not a decent day. I mean, the kind of moment where you looked in the mirror and thought, "I don't even know who this person is anymore, and I like them." If you can't remember, if it's been months, maybe years since you felt that jolt of pride looking at your own reflection, then you already know why you're here. You're not here for another pep talk. You're not here to feel good for 20 minutes and then go back to the same lazy mornings and the same excuses. You're here because some part of you, buried under the noise and fear and comfort, is done. Done waiting, done explaining, done being a slightly tired, slightly disappointed version of the person you were supposed to become. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Transformation isn't about time. It never was. We've been selling this lie that becoming someone new requires years of grinding, decades of sacrifice, some long, drawn-out war against yourself. And because that story feels so heavy, so exhausting, most people never even start. Why fight a 10-year battle when you could just stay comfortable? But what if I told you that story is a lie built to keep you small? What if the real secret isn't time, it's intensity? It's a decision. It's the willingness to compress a lifetime of small choices into 7 relentless, focused, unforgiving days. 1 week of discipline can undo years of drifting. 1 week of clarity can dissolve a decade of confusion. 1 week of showing up, fully, violently committed to your own becoming, can make the old you a stranger. Not a memory you fondly look back on, a stranger, someone you used to be, someone you left behind on purpose. And I need you to understand something else before we go any further. This isn't about becoming a different person in the sense of faking it, wearing a mask, performing confidence you don't feel. This is about shedding. Think of a snake. It doesn't grow a new body when it sheds its skin. It reveals the one that was already forming underneath, the one that had outgrown the old layer, the one that was ready long before the shedding began. That's what this week is. You are not manufacturing a new you from nothing. You are ripping away the old skin, the excuses, the snooze button, the scrolling, the self-pity, the small thinking, and revealing who was underneath the whole time. The strong one, the disciplined one, the one who doesn't negotiate with weaknesses. That version has been waiting for, patiently, quietly, for you to finally stop talking about change and start becoming it. Over the next several minutes, I'm going to hand you the exact blueprint, not vague motivation, not empty hype that fades the second the video ends. A real, structured, 7-day transformation designed to rebuild how you move, how you think, how you speak, how you show up in a world that has, until now, only seen a fraction of what you're capable of. We're going to talk about the first hour of your day and why it might be silently sabotaging everything else. We're going to talk about the one habit, just one, that's quietly bleeding you dry and how cutting it loose can shift your entire identity. We're going to talk about movement, real, purposeful, fire in your chest movement, and how the way you carry your body rewires the way you carry your mind. And that's just the beginning, because by the time we're done, you won't just have information, you'll have a war plan. And in 7 days, if you follow it without flinching, you will stand in front of a mirror and see someone your past self would barely recognize. Someone is sharper, someone calmer, someone dangerous in the best possible way. So take a breath, because what I'm about to give you isn't comfortable. It's not supposed to be. Comfortable is what got you here. Let's begin. Day one starts before the sun has fully committed to rising, in that fragile, quiet window most people throw away without a second thought, the first hour after you open your eyes. I want you to think about this hour differently than you ever had before. It is not simply the start of your day. It is the ignition point. It is the moment when momentum is either built or squandered, and almost nobody treats it with the respect it deserves. Picture the average morning for most people. The alarm screams. A hand fumbles for the phone before the eyes are even fully open. Within seconds, before a single sip of water has touched their lips, before a single deep breath has filled their lungs, they are already drowning in other people's opinions, other people's emergencies, other people's carefully curated highlight reels. They have handed the steering wheel of their day to strangers on a screen before they've even decided who they want to be when they get out of bed. And then they wonder why the day feels chaotic, reactive, exhausting, why they spend 12 hours busy and still feel like nothing that mattered actually got done. That will not be you. Not this week. This week, that first hour belongs to you and only you. Nobody else gets a vote. No notification, no headline, no group chat, no algorithm designed to hijack your attention gets to touch that sacred window. Because here's what almost nobody understands. The way you treat those first 60 minutes sends a signal, not just to the world, but to your own nervous system, about whether today is going to be lived on purpose or endured by accident. When you wake up and immediately reach for chaos, your brain learns that this is simply how days begin. Reactive, scattered, controlled by outside forces. But when you wake up and choose stillness first, water first, breath first, intention first, you are quite literally training your mind to treat the day as something you shape rather than something that happens to you. So here is what day one demands you. The moment your eyes open, before your feet even touch the floor, I want you to resist the urge to check anything. Let the phone sit there, untouched, for as long as you can stand it. Instead, drink water. Actual water, not coffee, not anything else, just water. Because your body has been without it for hours, and it deserves to be honored before it's asked to perform. Then move, even slightly. It doesn't need to be a workout. Stretch your arms overhead like you're reaching for something bigger than yourself. Take a short walk if you can. Let blood start moving through a body that's been still all night. Then breathe, slowly, deliberately, several long breaths that remind your nervous system there is no emergency, only opportunity. And then, and this part matters more than people realize, speak to yourself. Out loud if you can manage it, in your own head if you can't. Not a mumbled, half-asleep thought, but a clear declaration of what this day is going to be about. Don't whisper your intentions into the morning like you're embarrassed to want more. Command your day the way a general commands troops before a battle they intend to win. I know this sounds almost too simple to matter. That's exactly why most people skip it. We've been conditioned to believe that transformation requires complexity, elaborate routines, expensive gear, and some secret system only successful people know about. But the truth is almost insultingly simple. Small, repeated actions performed with full presence, compounded into massive shifts in identity. When you win that first hour, day after day, something remarkable starts happening beneath the surface. You start to trust yourself again. And self-trust is the currency every transformation is built on. You cannot become unrecognizable to the world if you don't first become someone you trust to keep promises to yourself, starting with the very first hour you're given each day. Think about the people you consider magnetic, the ones who walk into a room and somehow shift the energy just by existing in it. I promise you, almost universally, those people are not scrolling on their phones for 45 minutes before they even get vertical. They understand, whether consciously or not, that the first hour sets the tone for the entire performance that follows. When you own that hour, you stop chasing your day and your day starts chasing you. Opportunities feel less like accidents and more like things you were already positioned to receive. Your posture shifts because your internal state has shifted. You speak with more clarity because your mind wasn't scattered before it even had a chance to focus. This one adjustment, reclaiming those 60 minutes, sounds small on paper, but functions like a foundation stone for everything else we're about to build together. So, starting tomorrow, and honestly, starting the very next time you wake up, guard that hour like it's the most valuable resource you own. Because it is. Win the first hour, and you have already, quietly, decisively, won the day before most people have even opened their eyes. Now let's talk about something that terrifies people more than almost anything else on this list. Not because it's physically difficult, but because it requires honesty. Most people spend years avoiding. Day 2 is about elimination. Specifically, the elimination of one habit, just one, that you already know, deep down, is quietly dismantling the person you're trying to become. I want to be very clear about something before we go further. This is not about overhauling your entire existence in 72 hours. That approach fails almost every single time because it's overwhelming, unsustainable, and frankly, unnecessary. Total transformation doesn't come from adding 15 new habits overnight. It comes from having the courage to remove the one thing that's been quietly poisoning your progress while you kept pretending it was harmless. Here's an uncomfortable truth worth sitting with. Your identity is shaped far more by what you refuse to tolerate than by what you decide to pursue. Think about that for a second. We spend so much energy obsessing over what we should start doing. New workouts, new diets, new productivity systems, when the real leverage often lies in what we finally, decisively stop doing. Every single day you allow a destructive habit to remain untouched. You are, whether you realize it or not, casting a vote for the old version of yourself. And that old version, the one who scrolls for hours, who talks to themselves with cruelty, who reaches for junk food when emotions get loud, who skips the workout because today doesn't count, that version has already had its turn. It built the life you're currently standing in. If that life isn't the one you want, then the habits that built it need to be examined without mercy. So, I want you to do something right now. Not later, not when you get a chance. Right now, in your mind if there is nowhere else. Identify the one habit that whispers to you constantly that it doesn't really matter. The one that tells you, this is such a small thing, nobody will even notice. That whisper is the most dangerous sound in your entire life because it's usually lying. Small things, repeated daily, become identities. The habit that seems too minor to matter is very often the exact thing keeping you small, keeping your self-respect quietly, eroding one unnoticed moment at a time. Maybe it's the way you reach your phone within seconds of waking, drowning your morning in noise before it's even begun. Maybe it's the running commentary of negative self-talk that plays on repeat in your head, so constant you've stopped noticing it's even there. Maybe it's the late nights that steal your mornings, the procrastination that steals your confidence, the comfort food that numbs feelings you haven't had the courage to actually face. Whatever it is, you already know. You knew before I even finished the sentence. This isn't about achieving perfection across every area of your life simultaneously. It's about breaking one pattern with total conviction. Because here's what happens when you successfully eliminate even a single destructive loop. You create space, real, tangible space, for a stronger version of yourself to step forward and occupy that territory. Imagine a garden choked with a single aggressive weed. You don't need to replant the entire garden to see a dramatic change. You simply need to remove that one weed, and suddenly everything else has room to breathe, to grow faster, cleaner, and stronger. That is exactly what happens inside you when you finally cut loose the one habit that's been quietly strangling your potential. And please, don't fall into the trap of overcomplicating this. You don't need a spreadsheet listing 20 flaws you intend to fix simultaneously. That approach is a beautifully disguised form of procrastination, because when everything feels urgent, nothing actually gets addressed. Choose one. The one costs you the most. The one that, if you're being brutally honest with yourself, is the loudest obstacle between who you are and who you're capable of becoming. And once you've named it, don't wait for motivation to arrive like some rescue team coming to save you. Motivation is unreliable, moody, and frankly, doesn't care whether you succeed or fail. What you need instead is a decision, a cold, clear, non-negotiable decision that says, without room for negotiation, this ends with me, starting today. The elimination process works best when you don't just rip something away and leave a void behind. Voids get filled, often by the very habit you just removed, unless you're intentional about what takes its place. If your hand instinctively reaches for your phone the second you wake up, replace that motion with reaching for a notebook instead, writing down what you intend to accomplish before the world gets a chance to interrupt you. If your default response to frustration has become complaining, replace that reflex with naming one thing you're genuinely grateful for in that exact moment, even if it feels forced at first. If you consistently avoid the hardest task on your list until it becomes an emergency, replace that avoidance with a simple rule. Set up a timer and attack that difficult task first, before your resistance has time to build its usual excuses. You successfully remove just one weak habit and replace it with something intentional, something shifts inside you that's difficult to fully articulate until you've experienced it. Your energy changes. Your standards quietly rise, almost without you consciously deciding they should. You begin to prove something to yourself that no amount of external praise could ever replicate: the simple, powerful fact that you are in control. Not your cravings, not your impulse, not the endless parade of distractions competing for your attention every single hour of every single day. You. And that particular kind of internal authority, the ability to look at a destructive pattern and simply refuse to participate in it anymore. That's not something people can see from the outside, at least not immediately, but you will feel it instantly. You'll catch your own reflection and notice something different in your eyes, a kind of quiet steadiness that wasn't there before. Not because the world has changed how it perceives you yet, because you have changed how you perceive yourself. That shift, subtle as it seems, is often the exact moment real transformation begins to take root. So today, I name the habit, make the decision, and let your future self watch you finally choose them over the comfortable chains of the past. Now we arrive at something the body has been quietly begging you to address for longer than you'd probably like to admit. The way you move through the world, day 3, and the demand that you finally move like you mean it. Here's a truth that gets ignored constantly. You cannot build a genuinely strong mind while dragging around a weak, neglected body. They are not separate systems operating independently. They are deeply, inseparably connected, constantly sending signals back and forth, shaping and reshaping each other with every single choice you make. The way you physically move through your day is not just a reflection of how you feel about yourself. It actively creates how you feel about yourself. This isn't an abstract philosophy. It's biology, psychology, and lived experience colliding into one undeniable pattern. Think honestly about how you've been carrying yourself lately. Are your shoulders rounded forward, collapsed under some invisible weight? Are you dragging your feet through hallways like walking itself has become a chore rather than a privilege? Because here's the uncomfortable part. That posture, that heaviness, isn't just physical. It's a message being broadcast constantly to your own brain. When your body slouches through the day, radiating exhaustion and defeat, Your mind absorbs that story and starts believing it's true. Your emotions begin following your posture instead of the other way around. Your thoughts slow to match the pace of your dragging feet. It becomes an endless feedback loop, a tired body convincing a capable mind that it, too, should feel tired, defeated, small. So, ask yourself something honestly, and don't rush past this question the way you rush past everything uncomfortable. When was the last time you moved through a day with actual fire underneath you? Not performing energy for other people, but genuinely feeling strength in your own stride, purpose in your own pace, a rhythm that silently announced to the world, whether anyone was watching or not, that you had arrived ready to compete with the day rather than survive it. If you're struggling to remember, that's exactly the gap we're closing this week. And I want to be clear about something important here, because this point gets misunderstood constantly. This isn't a demand that you transform into a fitness model or start spending 5 hours a day chained to a gym. That's not realistic, and frankly, it's not even necessary. What's required instead is movement infused with genuine intention, real presence behind every physical action you take. This week, move your body every single day like it actually matters, because it does more than you've probably ever fully acknowledged. This is fundamentally about reclaiming your physical space in the world rather than apologizing for occupying it. It's about shaking loose old, stagnant energy and stepping into an entirely new rhythm that feels unfamiliar at first, precisely because it's been buried under months, maybe years of neglect. Take a hard, deliberate walk and let your legs remember what it feels like to move with purpose instead of habit. Do a set of push-ups, even if your first attempt is embarrassingly small compared to what you imagine you should be capable of. Put on music and dance in your own room like nobody's watching, because honestly, nobody is. And that freedom is exactly the point. Stretch with real focus, breathing deeply into muscles that have forgotten what it feels like to be intentionally engaged rather than passively dragged through another day. Understand this clearly. You are not simply working towards some aesthetic goal here, though improved fitness will absolutely follow. What you're actually doing is shaking off accumulated weakness, waking up something dormant, something almost primal that's been sleeping beneath layers of comfort and routine for far too long. That inner strength you keep telling yourself you want to feel more consistently in your life. It doesn't begin in your circumstances or your bank account or your relationships. It begins quite literally in your body. And here's the trap you absolutely cannot fall into this week. Telling yourself you'll start tomorrow once conditions improve, once you're less tired, once you have the right shoes, the right playlist, the perfect mood aligning everything into place. No, movement doesn't wait for perfect conditions. And frankly, neither does transformation. Do it today. Do it while tired. Do it while completely unmotivated. Do it in whatever clothes you're currently wearing, with whatever energy you currently have, because the action itself generates the motivation that people mistakenly believe needs to arrive first. Movement creates momentum, and this isn't just a catchy phrase. It's a mechanical reality you can prove to yourself within a single day. The more you move with intention, the more genuinely alive you begin to feel throughout your entire body. The more alive you feel, the more naturally confident you become without needing to fake it or perform it for an audience. And confidence, real, earned, physically rooted confidence, becomes almost magnetic in ways that are difficult to fully explain but impossible to miss once you start noticing them. It changes how people respond to you in the rooms you walk into. It changes how your voice sounds when you speak, steadily and more grounded. It changes how you lead conversations, how you handle pressure, and how you carry disagreements without shrinking. If you genuinely want to become unrecognizable by the end of this week, then the version of you that used to move slowly, hesitantly, apologetically through life needs to be left behind starting today. That old version played it safely with their own body. That ends now. This new version of you moves with certainty, trains with genuine fire, stands taller not because someone told them to, but because they've earned the right to occupy space differently. Breathe like every single breath is actually being used for something, because from this point forward, it is. Make this an unbreakable rule for the remainder of the week. Move daily, move deliberately, move like the person you are actively becoming, rather than the exhausted, hesitant person you've been for far too long. Your future self, the one waiting on the other side of these 7 days, will feel the difference the moment they wake up inside a body that finally moved with purpose. Your mind, freed from the sluggish fog that stillness creates, will feel sharper almost immediately. And the world around you, whether it announces it out loud or not, will notice the shift in energy radiating from someone who finally decided their body deserved to be treated like an instrument of transformation rather than an afterthought. Because once your body starts consistently showing up with real power behind it, you'll discover something remarkable. Everything else in this 7-day blueprint becomes significantly easier to execute. The mind follows the body's lead more often than people realize. And this week, you're finally going to lead correctly. We've covered the first hour that sets your entire trajectory. We've covered the single habit whose removal creates space for everything you're becoming. We've covered the movement that wakes the dormant strength living inside a body that's been asked to do far too little for far too long. But this is only the beginning of the blueprint, and what comes next digs even deeper into the noise you consume, the words you speak, and the environment quietly shaping who you're allowed to become. That part of the journey is waiting for you when you're ready to continue. Day 4 doesn't ask you to feel anything. It asks you to cut it. Sit with that for a second, because the tone from here forward is different, and you should feel that difference in your chest before you even read the next line. The first 3 days were about waking something up inside you. Day 4 is about war, not a metaphorical war, not some soft internal struggle you talk about yourself through over coffee, an actual war for control of your own attention. Because right now, today, somebody else is winning that war. And they've been winning it for so long you've stopped noticing the casualties. Your mind is a command center, not a suggestion, not a poetic phrase, an operational fact. Every decision you make, every ounce of energy you bring into a room, every flicker of confidence or doubt that crosses your face in a high-stakes moment, all of it is downstream from what you've been feeding that command center. And most people feed it garbage all day long without a second thought. Fear dressed up as news. Envy dressed up as inspiration, outrage dressed up as an opinion, hour after hour, thumb moving, eyes glazing, brain absorbing chaos it never consented to and calling it just scrolling. There is no just about it. You cannot pour poison into a system for 6 hours a day and expect that system to produce clarity, focus, or power. It doesn't work that way. It has never worked that way. So today the rules are brutal and simple. Control what goes in, not eventually, not when you have more willpower. Today, cut the accounts that leave you anxious after 30 seconds of scrolling. Cut the group chats that exist purely to complain. Cut the background noise you've been using to avoid silence, because silence is where your actual thoughts live, and you've been running from them for a long time. Replace that noise with something that sharpens you instead of dulling you. A book that challenges how you think. Audio that teaches instead of numbs. Even nothing at all. Actual quiet, where you're forced to sit with your own mind without a screen there to rescue you from it. This is not about becoming a monk. This is about becoming the gatekeeper of your own head instead of leaving the gate wide open for anyone with an algorithm to walk through uninvited. You will feel resistant doing this. Understand that now, so it doesn't blind you later. Your hand will twitch toward the phone out of pure habit dozens of times, and every single time you catch yourself and put it down, you are casting a vote. You are telling your own nervous system, I decide what enters here. Not convenience, not boredom, not the ghost of a habit that used to run this show. That's the grind nobody glamorizes. It's not dramatic. It's not filmed well. It's just you, alone, choosing discipline in a moment nobody is watching. Over and over until it stops being a fight and starts being who you are. Once the noise starts clearing, you'll notice something that catches most people off guard the first time it happens. The silence isn't empty. It's loud with everything you've been avoiding, every unspoken fear, every buried ambition, every uncomfortable truth about where your life currently sits versus where you always imagined it would be by now. Good. Let it surface. That discomfort is not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that the noise was working exactly as designed, keeping you distracted from questions you weren't ready to answer. You're ready now. That's why you're still here. Picture the exact moment this fight actually happens, because it's rarely dramatic. It's not a mountaintop decision made with orchestral music swelling behind it. It's you, standing in a kitchen at 11 at night, phone already halfway to your face out of pure muscle memory, and something in you catches the motion midair. It's the 3-second pause before your thumb unlocks the screen, where you actually notice the reach happening instead of letting it run on autopilot the way it has 10,000 times before. Nobody applauds that pause. Nobody films it. There's no highlight reel for the version of you that put the phone face down and picked up a book instead. Jaw tight, restless, uncomfortable in a silence that used to be filled instantly and automatically. But that pause, repeated relentlessly, is the entire war. Not one dramatic act of willpower, 1,000 invisible ones stacked quietly on top of each other until the reach stopped happening at all. You'll notice the itch loudest in the in-between moments, waiting in line, sitting at a red light, the first 90 seconds after finishing a task when your brain instinctively hunts for a dopamine hit to fill the gap. That itch is not a character flaw. It's a groove worn deep into your habits by years of repetition, and grooves don't disappear because you decided once, with good intentions, to be different. They get worn smoothly by friction, by choosing the harder, quieter option again and again until the old groove stops being the automatic path your hand takes. So, when the itch shows up today, and it will show up dozens of times, don't wait for it to feel easy. It won't. Just don't move your hand. That's the whole instruction. Feel the discomfort of an unfilled gap and let it sit there, unresolved. Because sitting in that discomfort without flinching is precisely the muscle this day is designed to build. Day 5 moves from the mind to the fuel that builds it, because there is no version of becoming unrecognizable that survives convenience and comfort food eaten out of boredom rather than hunger. This is where most people quietly quit without admitting it. They'll wake up early. They'll cut the noise. They'll even move their bodies with real effort. But when it comes to what actually goes on the plate, the discipline evaporates. Because food is emotional, food is habitual, food is tied to memory and comfort and reward in ways almost nothing else in daily life touches. And that's exactly why mastering it matters so much this week. This isn't about obsessing over numbers or punishing yourself into some rigid, joyless regimen. It's about asking one honest question before every single meal this week. Does this fuel the person I'm building, or does it feed the person I'm leaving behind? That question alone, repeated with total seriousness, will change more than any diet plan you've ever downloaded off the internet. Because the truth is uncomfortable but simple. Every time you choose convenience over intention with your food, you are quietly voting for fatigue, for fog, for the version of yourself that moves through the afternoon apologizing for how tired they feel. And every time you choose real fuel, protein that rebuilds you, water that clears you, food that respects the machine you're asking to perform at a higher level, you are voting for the sharper, faster, more capable version waiting on the other side of this week. Picture the late afternoon slump most people accept as inevitable. The heavy eyelids, the crash after a sugar spike, the internal negotiation to just push through until bedtime. That's not a personality trait. That's the direct physical consequence of fuel choices made hours earlier without a second thought. You don't have to accept that anymore. Eat like someone who has somewhere important to be in 3 hours and needs their mind sharp when they get there. Because you do. That somewhere is the rest of this week and the rest of your life, and it's waiting on a version of you that doesn't run empty and call it normal. This is also where the late nights start to matter, the kind nobody talks about in highlight reels, the kind where you're tired, genuinely tired, and the easy option is to collapse into distraction instead of finishing what the day demanded of you. This week isn't asking you to romanticize exhaustion or wear sleeplessness like a badge of honor. It's asking you to protect your rest with the same intensity you're protecting everything else, because a depleted body cannot execute disciplined mind decisions no matter how badly that mind wants to. Sleep is not the opposite of grinding. Sleep is part of the grind, the unglamorous, unfiled part where recovery happens, so tomorrow's effort has something real to draw from. Guard it. Earn it with a day well spent, and then actually take it. Instead of sacrificing it to another hour of noise you have already cut out of the daylight hours. There will be a night this week, maybe tonight, where your body is asking for rest and some part of your mind is still restless, still convinced there's one more thing to fix, one more scroll to finish, one more hour to steal from tomorrow. That's the moment discipline shows up quietest and matters most. Not the loud, public version of discipline everyone imagines, the gym at 5 in the morning with a crowd watching. The private version, the one where you turn off the light on time with nobody to witness it and no reward waiting except the fact that tomorrow's version of you will inherit a mind that actually works. Picture the sweat still drying on your shirt from the walk you forced yourself to take earlier, the dull ache in muscles that haven't been asked to work this hard and longer than you'd like to admit, the plate in the sink that has real food on it instead of wrappers. None of them looks impressive from the outside. All of it is the actual work. Transformation isn't a montage. It's a sink full of dishes from meals you didn't skip, a phone left charging in another room, a body sore in places that remind you it's finally being used for something again. Now we arrive at day 6, and this is where the entire week either locks into place or quietly falls apart. Because day 6 is not about motivation anymore. Motivation was useful to get you moving on day 1. It is worthless now. Motivation is a mood. It shows when conditions are convenient and vanishing the second. They're not. And if you've built this entire transformation on a mood, you built it on sand. What survives, what actually determines whether you're still standing here in 6 months instead of quietly sliding back into the old pattern, is systems, structure. The unglamorous architecture of a life engineered so that discipline doesn't require a daily pep talk to function. Here's what almost nobody tells you about the people who seem to execute effortlessly, the ones who train when they don't feel like it, who show up prepared when everyone else is scrambling, who somehow maintain standards even during their worst weeks. They are not more motivated than you. In most cases, they feel exactly as tired, exactly as unmotivated, and exactly as tempted to skip it as anyone else on any given morning. The difference is that they removed the decision from the equation entirely. They didn't wake up and debate whether to work out. The system was already decided that few days ago. They didn't stand in front of the fridge negotiating with themselves about what to eat. The structure already answered that question before hunger even had a chance to argue. This is the secret of hiding in plain sight. Discipline that depends on how you feel in the moment will fail you eventually, guaranteed, without exception. Discipline built into a system that operates regardless of mood is nearly unbreakable. So today, I built the system. Not someday. Not once does things calm down. Today. Set a schedule and defend it like it's the only thing standing between you and the person you were 7 days ago. Decide, in advance, what tomorrow's first hour looks like, what tomorrow's meals look like, what tomorrow's non-negotiables are, so that when tomorrow arrives, there's no debate, only execution. Structure removes friction, and friction is where most transformations quietly die, not in one dramatic collapse, but in 1,000 tiny moments of hesitation where willpower alone simply wasn't enough to close the gap. Think about what it actually means to eliminate decision fatigue from your life. Every choice you're forced to make in the moment, whether to train, whether to eat well, whether to focus or scroll, costs you energy, real cognitive energy that could otherwise be spent executing at a higher level. When the choice is already made in advance, locked into a system you built with a clear head instead of negotiating with a tired one, that energy gets redirected entirely toward output instead of debate. This is why the most consistently successful people in history were rarely the most naturally gifted, or the most intensely inspired. They were the most systematic. They built repeatable, almost boring patterns of behavior that didn't require daily reinvention. And those patterns, compounded relentlessly over time, produced results that look, from the outside, like talent or luck, but were actually just structure quietly doing its job in the background. There's an old idea worth carrying with you from this point forward. The notion that luck is nothing more than preparation finally meeting an opportunity it was already built to seize. Nobody who lives that way leaves their progress up to chance. They build the framework first, then let circumstances reveal what the framework was designed to catch. And there's another principle worth locking into your mind permanently: the understanding that your energy belongs only on what you can actually control. Your actions, your effort, your response in any given moment, and nowhere else. The instant you start pouring energy into circumstances beyond your reach, other people's opinions, timing you can't control, outcomes that haven't happened yet, you're leaking power out of a system that needs every ounce of it directed inward toward execution. This also means preparing deliberately for the moment things go wrong, because they will, not might, will. A system built only for perfect conditions is not a system. It's a fantasy waiting to be dismantled by the first bad day that shows uninvited. Real structure anticipates resistance. It expects the exhausted morning, the unexpected obstacle, the day where everything you want to quietly slide back into old patterns, and it builds a response into the plan before the crisis ever arrives. That's the difference between people who get knocked off course permanently and people who get knocked down, absorb it, and keep moving without missing more than a single step. You are not building this system for easy days. Easy days don't require discipline. They require nothing at all. You are building it for the day you're exhausted and still show up anyway. On the day nobody's watching and you still hold the standard anyway. The day's motivation is completely, utterly absent, and you execute regardless, because the structure doesn't ask how you feel before demanding your best effort. That is the exact moment, more than any other single moment across these 7 days, where the old version of you and the new version of you split permanently. One of them quits when it gets hard and calls it self-care. The other one grinds through it and comes out the other side changed in ways that can't be undone. Imagine that exact day, because it's coming, maybe as soon as tomorrow. You wake up and every excuse you've ever used is standing there fully rested, freshly rehearsed, waiting for its cue. Your body aches from days of movement it isn't used to. Your mind, quieter now without the constant noise it used to hide behind, feels exposed in a way that's uncomfortable. There's no crowd cheering you on. No one checks whether you followed through. Just you, alone with the plan you built when you were thinking clearly, staring at a version of yourself that would very much like permission to skip today. This is where most transformations quietly die, not in some dramatic confrontation, but in a single, unremarkable morning where nobody would even know if you gave in. And this is exactly where the system does its job, because you already decided days ago with a clear head exactly what this morning requires. You don't renegotiate with a tired mind. Execute with the disciplined version you already locked in. One push-up when you don't feel like doing any. One paragraph is written when the page feels impossible. One meal chosen with intention when defaulting to convenience would be so much easier, and nobody would ever know the difference. That's the grind. Small, invisible, unglamorous, repeated. It doesn't look like anything on camera. It looks like everything when you add it up 7 days later. Feel that shift happening right now as you sit here. This is no longer about waking up early or cutting a bad habit or moving your body with more intention. Those were the opening moves. This is the middle of the fight, the part where the noise is cut, the fuel is dialed in, and the system is locking into place around you like armor you didn't know you were building until you noticed it was already there. There is one more piece left before this transformation is fully locked in. One more decision that determines whether everything you've built across these 6 days becomes permanent or quietly fades the moment life gets loud again. And that decision is waiting for you next time.